Let me tell you something that sounds completely made up. Something you wouldn't expect from one of America's founding fathers. Benjamin Franklin, yes, the kite guy, the inventor, the diplomat, the face on the $100 bill, once wrote an actual advice letter encouraging a young man to date older women. And he didn't just suggest it politely, no. He listed 8 very specific reasons, delivered with the confidence of someone who had tested this theory personally. The result is one of the strangest, funniest, and most human documents ever produced by a man most people only know from textbooks. The first historical fact you need to know is that Benjamin Franklin loved women a lot. We have letters, diary entries, reports from diplomats, memoirs from acquaintances, and even gossipy notes from French socialites that all point to the same conclusion. Franklin had a very active romantic life, especially in his later years. And crucially, he was not particularly discreet about it. He flirted with women at dinner parties, during political negotiations, at scientific salons, and even while recovering from illness. His charm was legendary. One contemporary described him as having the manners of a philosopher and the eyes of a rake, which is the 18th century way of saying he looked like a wise scholar who also might steal your girl. So, the idea that Franklin would write a letter giving dating advice is not as absurd as it sounds. The only surprising part is the focus of that advice. In 1745, a friend of his, probably a young man he knew from his circle in Philadelphia, asked Franklin for guidance. The young man wanted to avoid immoral behavior, but also wanted a romantic life. He essentially asked Franklin, "How can I pursue pleasure without losing my virtue, without ruining my reputation, without messing up my future?" A very polite philosophical version of a very timeless question. Franklin responded with a long, thoughtful essay. The title, Advice to a Young Man on the Choice of a Mistress, in which Franklin goes into a detailed explanation of why older women deserve more love. Before we explore the reasons, because trust me, they are incredible, we need to understand the mindset behind the letter. In Franklin's time, romantic relationships were heavily policed by society. Yet informal relationships were extremely common. Young men were expected to sow their wild oats, yet officially expected to remain virtuous. Women were held to stricter standards. Public morality and private behavior were very different worlds. To Franklin, the danger wasn't romance itself. The danger was dishonesty, exploitation, and hypocrisy. So his letter, though modern audiences see it as comedic, was actually his attempt to offer practical moral guidance for real human behavior. And now, let's get to the part everyone came for. Benjamin Franklin, at age 39, wrote that if a young man is going to pursue a romantic relationship outside marriage, then he should choose an older woman. And then he listed 8 reasons. Reason 1. Older women appreciate affection more. Franklin's logic: young women have more options. Older women, according to him, are more grateful, more affectionate, more attentive, because society treats them as though their romantic lives are over. To Franklin, giving them romantic attention wasn't just enjoyable, it was kind. Reason 2. Older women are more intelligent, and therefore better conversational partners. Franklin loved conversation. He deeply believed that wit, intelligence, humor, and experience made relationships better. He thought younger partners were inexperienced and often boring. Older women, to Franklin, they had stories, depth, perspective, emotional maturity. And for Franklin, who once said that moral perfection was his life goal, maturity was extremely attractive. Reason 3, older women are less likely to deceive you, manipulate you, or create chaos in your life. He argues that an older woman is more honest because she has no reason to play games. She knows what she wants. She's not trying to trap a man into marriage. She's not chasing drama. She's stable, reliable, loyal. In other words, Franklin wanted you to avoid messy breakups. Reason 4. Older women can keep a secret. This is Franklin being very practical. Romantic scandals in the 18th century could destroy reputations. Franklin argues that older women are discreet. They won't gossip, they won't expose you, they won't ruin your public life. This was one of Franklin's highest values: privacy and trust. Reason 5. An older woman will guide you and improve you. Franklin believed in mentorship in all areas of life, including romance. He argued that older women were more patient, more understanding, and better at teaching a young man how to behave, how to communicate, and how to love without selfishness. It is honestly one of the most endearing parts of the letter. Reason 6. You won't risk ruining the life of a young woman. Remember, premarital relationships carried enormous consequences for young women: pregnancy, social ruin, reduced marriage prospects. Franklin argues that pursuing young women is irresponsible and cruel, but an older woman, she is established, she is independent, she is safe. Franklin frames older women not only as better romantic partners, but as the ethical choice. Reason 7. Over time, beauty fades for everyone. But an older woman already knows this, and has chosen character over vanity. Franklin goes into a surprisingly philosophical discussion here. He argues that youth is temporary, but virtue is permanent. Character is permanent. Wisdom is permanent. And he suggests that older women have already left behind the vanity and insecurity of youth. In short, Franklin believed older women were more real. Reason 8, and this is the famous one: in the dark, all women are the same. His message behind the joke: attraction shouldn't be based solely on youth and looks. Relationships should be based on intelligence, compatibility, virtue, and affection. Franklin ends the list by telling his young friend that this advice, choosing older women, is in your favor, that it will bring him joy, stability, and moral clarity. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Franklin didn't just write about older women. He actually lived according to this philosophy. Many of his closest friends, advisors, and sources of comfort were women older than he was. Some relationships appear flirtatious. Others were entirely platonic. But all of them reveal the same thing. Franklin genuinely respected and admired older women. But even beyond Franklin himself, the letter invites us to reflect on something else: the way society treats women as they age. Franklin's world, like ours, was obsessed with youth. Women were often valued for their appearance rather than their character. Older women were often dismissed, overlooked, or ignored. Franklin disagreed completely. So, Franklin's message is clear. Choose relationships that are based on character, not vanity. And if you're going to be with someone, choose someone who makes your life better. If you enjoyed this dive into the most surprising side of Benjamin Franklin, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which historical figure you want me to expose next. And yes, the stranger the story, the better.